Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to talk about the Ascension map, okay? And like, if anybody has come and done a session with me, been a subscriber to my channel for a wee while, understands that, I talk a lot about ascension or ascendance, and the word ascendance is about growth and involvement, and that the universal law is that consciousness must evolve, and our true identity, our essence, is infinite consciousness, not human, because when we identify ourselves as only human, we create a limitation on our life, okay, and through that limitation creates a degeneration process to occur, and that's what when we see illness, dis-ease, right? But that's a story for another day. So what we're going to talk about is with the focus that I place in regards to our ascendance, not only as infinite consciousness, but while we create the experience here as the human as well, which a lot of people will call human ascendance, is that I get a lot of information about this, okay? Because, when you're asking the questions or showing a focus in a certain area, that's when you get insight about that thing that you're spending your time and your focus on, okay? And that's why I really promote the aspect that our powers, our biggest power is where we place our attention, because our energy immediately is consent and goes into that thing that we are placing our attention on. So if we are just awakened, and we're awakened about all these things that are happening, that all this human conditioning, human programming, and what our place of attention is on the things that are wrong about humanity, wrong about the planet, then we are just feeding more of that energy. So it doesn't make sense, and that's when we need to move on from just being awakened. We need to become enlightened too, and that's when we realize that we are a creator of reality, and where we place our attention matters. It's everything in regards to creating the reality we want to see from our heart, not from our mind. So ascendance is a big deal for me. And so a lot of information comes in about ascendance and knowing more, having greater knowing, having greater understanding, because I don't want to just live a reality or live a life here with no understanding and knowing of what everything is, the purpose for everything, right? We want to live a conscious, purposeful life. So, and I guess that connects to what people talk about subconscious mind and the conscious mind, but I just try and simplify things and just say the mind and consciousness, because they're polarities to each other. We don't want to identify those two together. So this ascension map is something that we've put together. And when I say something we've put together, my higher selves have guided me to formulate it in this way, so it gives us greater understanding and knowing of the connections that we have that are outside this reality. So, you're seeing me here as the human in this video, right? But this human is an interface to experience this reality. So the question is, what is interfacing this reality, and what do we want to interface or use this interface as the human for this reality to be instructed and guided by? And that is our soul, okay? We can just call that consciousness, okay? Because consciousness is the soul. It's that spark of consciousness that is using this interface to experience this reality. And we have a number of higher selves. We also have lower selves that are sparks of that of consciousness or soul that is interfacing another interface for that reality, okay? And hence we call that our multidimensional self, because it's our self, because every soul or consciousness that's interfacing in that reality is all connected to the same source of energy. Okay, so that's where in quantum physics they use the word quantum entanglement, because you're all connected to the same source of energy. Quantum physicists will say one particle, and it doesn't matter what distance is between the particles, that something happens to this particle will influence the other particle. Now, they're trying to understand it from the limitations of the human mind, where they still use the unit of distance. But when we bypass the mind and we go into consciousness, then we don't work with distance, because distance is a limitation of this reality. It doesn't exist outside of that. We don't think of distance because it's a form of limitation. And we realize that those two particles are just connected to the same source of energy because there is no distance. Okay, so that's the whole thing about quantum entanglement. So I'm going to show you the quantum map now and how it was formulated, and then we'll talk a bit more about it, how it is very symbolic to the way that we look at a number of things as the human as well. Okay, so this is the map here, the Ascension map, and I might have shown it in previous videos before, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth with it. And so you, first of all, you can see that it's formulated in the symbolic nature of a tree. Okay, and please keep that in mind because we're going to connect it with some of the things that we use as the human as well. And what we have here is branching into reality. So these circles here are, I guess, where we'd say is where the leaves are of a tree, and off the branches are realities, and this is the reality that we're in, and we call that generation 3. And again, you keep in mind the word generation as well into your awareness. That will come. We'll discuss that a bit more too. And generation 3, because we've got 2 generations up here, which are our lower selves. You'd normally think lower selves would be low and then higher. It's kind of the other way around, okay? So our higher selves are going that way, okay? Our lower selves are up here, and you'll see the colors as well. And we just use the colors to kind of show the difference of levels of existence. So don't worry about that too much at the moment. And what I've got here is a vortex because this is rotating. Okay, so and vortex is a geometry of flow because consciousness is flow. It's not like it needs to know what flow is. It's a bit like a goldfish doesn't know that it's in water, right? That's just its state. Okay, so consciousness's natural state is flow. It just is flow. But the problem we have here when our consciousness, our soul, is interfacing it into the human existence, when we disconnect that connection back to our origin, our consciousness, our soul, and we start to get directed, controlled by the mind, and again, remember the word mind and control are associated with each other because when we're in the mind, we're being controlled. That's one thing you need to understand. We don't hear consciousness control because those two words aren't associated with each other because when we're connected into our consciousness, we're not being controlled. When we're in the mind, we are then being controlled. So when we see ourselves as the human in a vulnerable state, that's when you're in the mind. Yeah, as in the mind, when you're in human, you're not connected to your higher aspects of yourself. Everything that you are, yes, you're going to be controlled, so you're going to be vulnerable. But if you embody everything that you are, through the heart space, which we call the sacred heart consciousness, then nothing can touch you. You are powerful. Okay, so that's the difference of it. And bringing that perception, that perspective of you is vital into healing, into being all you are, everything. Okay, so you're here, generation 3. And you've got a number of other things. You've got generation 4 here, generation 5, generation 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on. Okay? So these are your higher selves going into here. And again, this is the source of your energy, like roots into a tree, connected to the word grounding. And we're going to, again, talk about that. So that source energy is going into all these different realities. So you can see how you're all connected, right? Now, what's a part of that source energy, the spark, consciousness, which we call the soul, is then coming in interfacing each reality. Okay. So that's the aspect of, as I say, the main words you want to take out of that is the symbolic nature of the tree. Okay. The symbolic nature of the word generation. Okay. All these different generations, which we call different realities or planes of existence, realms, dimensions, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and then the aspect of being grounded. Okay, we're going to take those and let's bring it into more what we see as the human in this reality. So we see the symbolic nature of a tree, right? Where else do we see this? When we're starting to connect with our family, the family tree, our ancestry, right? Well, when we see it in that form, that's our soul family. Okay, that's our soul tree. Okay, and you'll hear about this oneness, about collective consciousness. Now, we've been misdirected in regards to that. There's been a hive mind, not a collective consciousness. And the oneness that you're really looking for is to be one with everything that you are. That's the oneness. Okay? Connecting to your soul family, your source of your origin of your energy. Okay? That's the oneness that we're looking for. So you can see the symbolic nature of how we see our family as the human, our mother, our father, or our cousin, our brother, or our daughter. Okay, and those connections. Well, that is a universal thing that goes through all the layers of everything you are, including when we see you as a soul, okay, and a source of infinite consciousness. Okay. Now, that brings in the word generation as well, because when we look at our family, we go, we look at the generations of our family. Like our parents are another generation, and their parents were another generation. So again, the same way. Each reality that our soul's interfacing, that reality is called a generation. So you can see how the symbolic nature of everything connects up. Also with the aspect of grounding, right? So what's a big aspect of energy work that we try and do for people? We're trying to ground people, right? Get them connected. Because that word connection is always embodied with the word grounding. Okay, and the whole science of grounding or earthing is connecting back to the earth. Well, the earth is an expression of you. Everything that you are within you is gonna show you your perspective of what you see as the earth. Okay, and there's a lot of the toroidal energy, magnetic energy of the earth is exactly a replica of your heart. Okay, so it's an expression of you, the earth. Okay, so when you're grounding into the earth, you're reconnecting back to you, to your true essence. Okay, and the word essence means your true identity. Okay, which is peace, love, and light. Simple as that. Okay. And another thing we must say is everything we've had in this at this human level, guided by the mind, is being complicated, confusing, complex, analytical. The science that we see, where we think, oh my God, I need to go to university to understand this. Yeah, because it's done by the mind. But saying that, the mind has limitations. And what do we see with our science? What do we see when we go to our modern medicine? They have all these fancy technology or diagnostic tools, but very little understanding and knowing of why that develops that way, why it happens that way. And we'll never get there to understand the knowing, have the knowing, the understanding through the mind. It has to be done through consciousness. Okay? It has to be done through consciousness. So when we talk about grounding earth, we get that person rooted. And when you feel grounded, you feel rooted to the ground, like there's magnets on the bottom of your feet, right? You feel, which is symbolic of being stable, stability, strength, okay? And I quite often do muscle kinesiology, muscle tests to show that with a lot of my energy tools, that we do a muscle testing on the body before we give you that tool, and you fall over and you're quite limp and there's hardly any grounding or rooting or strength to that person. Then we give them the tool, and then I pull on their arm with all my weight and I can't budge them. And I've done that with 70, 80-year-olds, and they are solid as a rock because all of a sudden they're becoming structured, they're becoming connected to self, which embodies that strength, that energy, that higher aspect of you, because all of a sudden we are creating a space as you, as the human, to be a conduit to allow everything that you are through. Okay? The mind disconnects you of that. So all of a sudden, all that is not part of your existence here as the human. Okay? So it's important to stay in the mind and stay in the heart with the consciousness. Now, when we also look at the science of grounding and earthing, is they say that the crust of the earth absorbs negative ionization that comes from lightning. Okay, so lightning hits the crust of the earth and absorbs that ionization. Negative ionization, when we go bare feet or we touch the earth with our bare skin, because we've got those the most nerve endings we have are on the bottom of our feet. Funny that. Now, and we absorb that in, and it creates an anti-inflammatory state in the body, because the more connected we are to self, because we're connecting to the earth, because the earth is an expression of us, ourself, then the more we create a state or space where inflammation cannot form, because inflammation is created when we are disconnected from self at the consciousness level, at the quantum level. So you can see how simple everything becomes when we just connect back into the heart space, into consciousness, because it gives us greater knowing, greater understanding of the reality we live within, and our creation capabilities. Okay, we are not a victim. We're not here to be a victim. We are not one brick in the wall. We are everything. We are the pivotal aspect of our reality. Okay. So I'm just thinking of what else we can kind of talk about. Now, there's been a new level that we've been working on within sessions, which we call celestial existence, which is beyond source. Okay. So we really, for anybody that's been doing sessions, when we understand, we'll realize that we use that a lot, and we emphasize connection, because that's everything for me. Okay, if you're not connected to self, then good luck, you know. And I'm sorry, there's a lot of people out there that try and heal through the mind, and it just doesn't work. That's why we see modern medicine, where it looks at the human as the anatomy and physiology for the most, that you've got all the same organs, same physiology, anatomy. Then we just use the same treatment for everybody, and it doesn't work. It's clear to see, right? Because we're actually all unique. Because that uniqueness doesn't lie in the human. It lies in the consciousness aspect of you. Okay, the soul, the source aspect of you. That source of you is unique to you. It's your source self, not source for everyone here as a collective, but for you, because you're unique. Okay, so hence, if you really want healing done properly, you need to heal on the consciousness level, on the quantum level, not the human, not the mind level. Okay. Anything else I want to mention before we finish in regards to that? Oh yeah, back about celestial existence. Now, this energy is what feeds your source self. It calibrates and gives the energy to your source self. Okay, so this celestial existence is a very powerful energy, and we've been using the analogy of the elements in regards to all these levels too. And at the celestial existence level, we connect that with the element fire, and the symbolic nature of fire is renewal, like the phoenix rising up from the flames, right? Which is essentially ascension. Okay, and it's not seeing a cataclysmic event of everyone's going to burn and it's going to be hell and fire everywhere. It's not going to be something you're going to see. It's something you're going to feel, and it's the symbolic nature of fire, as I just mentioned, not the fear mongering aspect of it. So at celestial existence, it's fire. Source, water. Okay, so water. Okay. Then your higher selves, your soul family. Air, because how often do you tell people in a meditation that focus on the breath to connect to higher self? And then you living out the existence as the human earth, because again, the earth is an expression of you at that level. Okay? So here on earth, okay, is earth connecting to higher self. The next connection you want to make, okay, when we connect into that sacred heart, air, connecting to source self, water, and then connecting to the energy that then calibrates your source self, celestial existence, fire. So we're really trying to incorporate that into our session work as well. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, post below. If you'd like a book, a healing session, which we call Ascendance Healing, or Ascendance Coaching, where I can explain and share to you the knowledge where you want to continue to ascend and evolve and grow and have the best human experience you could have possible. Go to my website at trulyholistic.net, trulyholistic.net, and you go to my appointment page and you can book your own appointment. We do distance healing here. 95% of my clientele is overseas, and we do it through Skype, we do it through Messenger, we can do it over a phone call. It all works. It works exactly the same. As I say, working on the quantum level, distance is no barrier. Simple as that. So you can put your own time zone, and it will show the time zone where you live, so you can book an appointment that suits you. If you have any other questions, there's a way of contacting me on my website as well. A whole number of things, tools, products, all sorts of things. Till next time.